Satan. Satan, the embodiment of wrath, became a feared figure during the rise of witchcraft hysteria in the late Middle Ages. The Church's focus on demonology during this period led to the widespread belief in Satan as the ultimate evil, the ruler of hell and the tempter of humanity. Interestingly, Satan's connection to the ancient Mesopotamian figure Shaitanu, a demon associated with adversity and misfortune, has been explored by scholars. In some interpretations, Satan is viewed as a Christianized version of Shaitanu, with both figures representing the idea of malevolent force that opposes the divine. Most people think of Satan as bad, but some groups have a very different idea. Satan is seen as a god in theistic Satanism, and people worship or respect him. Satan is a sign of good qualities and freedom in Leviathan's Satanism. The Bible never talks about what Satan looks like, but since the 9th century he's been portrayed in Christian art as having horns, cloven hooves, legs with lots of hair, and a tail. He is also often shown naked and holding a stick. These traits come from a mix of different Greek gods such as Pan, Poseidon, and Bes. Many Christian works of literature have Satan in them. These include Dante Alighieri's Inferno, all versions of the famous Faust story, John Milton's Paradise Lost and Paradise Regained, and William Blake's poems. He keeps appearing in films, TV shows, and songs. Asmodeus, the demon of lust. Next, we go into the world of Asmodeus. Once upon a time, in the depths of the underworld, there lived a powerful demon named Asmodeus. Now, Asmodeus wasn't your average demon. He was the demon of lust, and he had a special power that made him irresistible to humans. Asmodeus loved to play tricks on humans. He would disguise himself as a handsome prince or a beautiful princess, and then he would lure unsuspecting people into his trap. Once they were under his spell, he would make them do all sorts of crazy things, like stealing jewels or starting wars. But Asmodeus wasn't always so powerful. One day, a brave hero named Raphael came along and decided to put an end to the demon's tricks. He used a special herb called rue to break the demon's spell, and then he chained him up in a magical cage. Be careful who you fall in love with, because you never know if they might be a demon in disguise. Also, keep your wits about you and never let your heart rule your head. And if you ever find yourself under the spell of a demon, just remember to use the power of rue to break free. So what do you think? Isn't Asmodeus a fascinating character? I'll bet you never look at love the same way. Lucifer, the fallen angel of pride. A time long ago, when the heavens were filled with the most magnificent and powerful beings, of the heavens among them one stood out, shining brighter than all the rest. His name was Lucifer, and he was the most beautiful and beloved of all the angels. Lucifer was not just any angel. He was the brightest and most intelligent of them all. He was second only to God himself, and he knew it. Lucifer's pride and ambition knew no bounds. He began to believe that he was equal to or even greater than the Almighty. He began to whisper to the other angels, sowing seeds of doubt and rebellion. Slowly but surely, Lucifer convinced a large number of angels to join him in his quest for power and glory. Lucifer is now known as the devil. He has been the embodiment of pride, greed, and evil. He is said to tempt and corrupt humans, luring them away from the path of righteousness and into the depths of sin and despair. Belphegor. Finally, we come to Belphegor, the demon of sloth and deceit. According to legend, Belphegor convinced humans to create inventions for personal gain before taking away their wealth and esteem, highlighting the demon's connection to both sloth and greed. One intriguing story about Belphegor involves his disguise as a human in order to better understand the nature of human sin. In some versions of the tale, Belphegor marries a woman who ultimately drives him back to hell, showcasing the power of human relationships and the consequences of sloth and deceit. Mammon, the demon of greed. Mammon's journey can be traced back to ancient Mesopotamia and Canaanite religions, where he was known as a deity associated with money and material wealth. According to legend, Mammon is always on the lookout for those who are consumed by a thirst for wealth and material possessions. He is said to whisper seductive promises into the ear of the greedy, tempting them with visions of endless riches and the power that comes with it. Those who succumb to Mammon's temptations often find themselves trapped in a never-ending cycle of greed and despair. The stories of Mammon's victims often end in tragedy. They may lose everything they've worked for, their wealth crumbling around them as they realize the true cost of their greed. Some even lose their lives consumed by the very demon they worshipped. So the next time you find yourself tempted by the allure of wealth and material gain, remember about Mammon, the demon of greed, and the price that must be paid for succumbing to its seductive whispers. Beelzebub. Beelzebub is one of the most fascinating demons in the world of the occult. He is known as the Lord of Gluttony, which means he is the demon who is in charge of the sin of excessive eating and drinking. Now you might be wondering, what does a demon have to do with gluttony? Well, let me tell you a story. Long ago, there lived a powerful demon named Beelzebub. He was known for his insatiable appetite and his love for all things indulgent. Beelzebub would spend his days feasting on the most delicious and decadent foods, never feeling full or satisfied. As his reputation grew, people began to fear him. They believed that Beelzebub had the power to tempt them into overindulging, leading them down a path of gluttony and excess. Some even thought that he could possess people, forcing them to eat and drink until they could no longer control themselves. But Beelzebub didn't just stop at food and drink. He also loved to tempt people with other forms of excess, like gambling, lust, and greed. So how can you protect yourself from the influence of Beelzebub? The key is to practice moderation and self-control. Take a step back, take a deep breath, and remind yourself that true happiness and fulfillment comes from balance, not from giving in to every desire. Leviathan, the demon of envy. All right, let me tell you about this crazy demon called Leviathan. This guy is no ordinary demon. He's the demon of envy, and he's one wild and wicked creature. Leviathan is not like the other demons who were once fallen angels. Nope, this guy is an ancient sea monster with bones sticking out all over his body in the most twisted and terrifying ways. Imagine the Kraken, but even scarier and more monstrous. That's Leviathan for you. The story says that Leviathan was once a beast from the abyss, tamed by God himself. But this beast decided to side with Lucifer and got cast down to hell along with him. Now Leviathan guards the gates of hell, and his open mouth is like a sweet-smelling trap that lures unsuspecting prey to their doom. You see, Leviathan is the demon prince of envy, and he's all about that green-eyed monster. Envy starts small, but it can quickly grow and consume you, drowning you in those stormy, jealous thoughts. That's why Leviathan is the perfect demon to represent this deadly sin.